Hi, my name is Itali and in this video I'll be drawing a Frostfel for Jazz. This is a time-lapse video and does contain fast-moving and flashing images. I start with the background to set the mood for the picture, and it is just a couple of snowy hills with a little broken tree stump in the middle of it, which will be the focus picture and where the dragon itself will be laying down. I only have 3 hours to work on this image, so I didn't want to spend too much time on the background and wanted to spend most of the time focusing on the dragon so I could try get as much detail into the full body dragon as possible. As it turned out, because Jazz chose to have a sleeping dragon, and the pose for the Frostfel while sleeping is to have its wings on the ground, which actually hides most of its body, and its feet, which I do tend to have more trouble on. It meant that I didn't have to spend as much time on things as I thought I did, and you'll actually see later on in the video I decide to make the whole image larger and to apply some more detail to the dragon itself. I'm just doing a double sketch here. It didn't take too long for me to get the feel for this, which is good because sometimes wings give me a great deal of trouble, but I did find these ones to be quite easy for me to draw and I really liked how the pose came out. Actually, Frostfels are one of my favourite wyverns to draw. I just really like the ridging that they have on their face and I always find it kind of enjoyable to draw, even though they have a lot of spikes and that sometimes takes me a lot of time to render. I do really enjoy doing like the little white gaps in between the plating on the face and adding the darker scales with lighter bits in between. I did sort of two versions of this. There's a version where it's snowing and there's snow on the dragon, and then there's a version without snow. I just did choose to go with the one with the snow and snowing, but I do at the end offer them both versions as the snow is all on a separate layer and I can just turn it off. I then start detailing the background. This stump sort of came together pretty quickly for me. The whole process of doing this picture was pretty enjoyable for me. I didn't really have any sticking points like I normally do, and I didn't find that I had to work really hard to get things to look the way I wanted to. They just kind of flowed really easily for me. So I quite quickly finished with this stump and was very happy with how it looked, and moved on to making little piles of snow where it's starting to form as the snow falls, and where maybe, the dragon has settled down to sleep, where it sort of shifted the snow a bit, and just defining these hills in the background a bit. I also wanted to have this sort of snow haze when the snow is really thick, or like there's the wind's blowing the top snow off the top of the hills, sort of have this like white haze coming off the top of the hills. And I just darkened the clouds a bit more, so they look a bit more, I guess, laden with snow. I added the snow piling up on the top of the stump, and I did decide to leave the sort of sharper edge to the top of the snow piles and only blur or blend in the bottom part of them, just because I thought it made it look a bit more frosty or fresh. And you'll see me do the same thing when I put the snow on top of the dragon itself. I use a sort of spiky, sort of jagged edged brush for the snow, and I leave the top edge looking jagged or sort of frosty looking. You now see me shading the dragon itself, and I did just use a multiply layer with different colors that I blurred in. So I just used sort of like a bluey color and a bit of a pinky color just to add some variation, and then I merged it to the line and flat color layer, and now I'm using the smudge tool and my normal paint tool and just going over bits and smudging them in and adding more detail. It's at this stage of detailing the dragon that I decide to make the whole image larger. So you see I increase it to 3000 pixels, keeping the ratio the same, just so I can zoom into this dragon's head and get a lot more detail in it that will be visible in the final image. And I spent the rest of the time pretty much just concentrating on the dragon and detailing little bits and pieces, starting with the head and then sort of moving my way down the rest of the body. I used this screenshot that I got from the winter event, the December event in game of the Frostfel. So this is the NPC character that appears during that event, just to make sure I had the right amount of spikes at the side, as I know I only put the main ones in there and had planned to put the other ones in later, and I nearly forgot. So I'm glad I had this picture already loaded in as a reminder. I'm pretty much in the final stages of detailing this dragon now. I add a bit of distance, lightness to the back wing to make it look further away from the body of the dragon, and then I start adding in the snow piles on top of the dragon. And you'll see I start with the dark color and then I add this white color, and I don't have my brush at full opacity, so I do duplicate the layer twice and then merge it together so that the snow layer itself is more solid. And then I go over it again with a bright white on the very edge, and I use my smudge tool to smudge in the grayer colors into the lighter colors at the bottom, leaving that sharp edge again at the very top to make it look like the snow has freshly fallen on the dragon. Then I add the final touches for the falling snow, and I do a blurred focus version or a forced focus version, which I generally like to do. And that's pretty much it. That's the image completed. So here it is. Here's a purple Frostfel in the snow for Jazz. Thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and I also have a Patreon if you'd like to support me. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!